And I've yet to hear a convincing argument as to why it wouldn't work.
Well, I agree. It doesn't seem as though there is any reason why it wouldn't work. If I'm honest with you, if you look at where am I? I'm just seeing if I've got it up. Yeah, this one. This is the average uh, league over the last 10 seasons. So going from 2016, you can see 55 minutes, 43. And then every season seems to be roughly the same time scale. So, why all of a sudden now Newcastle have had the finger pointed out. Now, obviously, that it's not the first time we heard rumbles last season from certain coaches that it's about Newcastle managing their time and how much they delay. Um, and like I say, this is after game number 7, and it seems to be following the trend from past seasons. So I was going to come and say to you've made a good example there. But when you look at it, we talk about value for money, right? So, according to it, at this present moment in time, because of the amount of stoppage time that has been added on, in total, games are averaging 45 minutes and 35 seconds of delays or pauses during play this season, up to 42 minutes and 45 seconds last season, or roughly one episode of Countdown. If you want to go on that scale with the adverts, it could be like all be struggling to solve the conundrum instead of watching someone saunter over slowly to take a corner in stoppage time. Um, it baffles me when you look at it, and I've been doing a bit of a deep dive on certain when you look at are we all equal, um, and this is the table that I've come up with. And it's an interesting read because obviously you look at Leeds top of the group, if you like, underdogs of most of their games. Leeds are averaging the longest ball in play time in the Premier League this season in 56 minutes 48 seconds, and that's the one in brackets there. 57.5 of the total matches played. It either means Daniel Farke is happy to play his side to get it on with it, or the opposition are generally doing their utmost to keep the ball in play to beat them. And I think you've got to think of the teams that are at the top here. Like I say, they've not been the best starters this season by any shadow of doubt. But like I say, if you look at the bottom of the list there, you'll see Newcastle 52.3%. The ball in play 53.9 second. And to me, like I say, that graphs are there for a reason. And is that Newcastle problem when we are playing well? Is it the fact that when you've got to look at the external side of it? It's not just Newcastle; it's the teams that we've played this season. So if you have a look, the top two here that have had the ball in play the most, we've played against. So that can't be an excuse for why Newcastle are at the bottom. Is it about Newcastle managing their minutes, the time, and pace of the game, and where we have that start where we are very electric, the intensity's there, we are very, very much on the front foot, but then as we get tired, we tend to slow right down, and we've seen that after 25, 30 minutes, the lads literally have a breather, they go back into this 4-5-1 shape and stop that intensity for a time. Is that the reasons why we see these figures on the screen?
I don't know, but all I'm saying is you can do away with those figures on the screen. Those figures should all be. I mean, in theory, they should be 90 minutes, shouldn't they?
Of
But
course they
they're
should.
not. They're never ever going to be. Tony T was saying there somewhere along the line. Does that count for play? Where is it? does the ball in play count free kicks and corners? Yeah, yes, it does. The ball does not go into until that free kick or the corner is kicked. The ball is not in play. So he's saying, although technically the ball's not in play, you've still got your players jostling and so on in the area, which is energy using, if you like.
Mm.
I think that's the point he's making. Yeah, but the ball's not in play, and you're paying good money to go and watch a football match. You want to see the ball in play, not
Yeah.
fannying on. And if there's a lot of the reason for the latest figures from the last whatever 10 years or whatever is to do with VAR being introduced. That obviously stops the play, but it what I'm saying is it should not. VAR should be time added on, and we are seeing that. We saw that begin in earnest, if you like, at the last World Cup, when suddenly we were getting 9 and 10 minutes per half
Yeah.
added time, which was largely in part due to VAR.
Yeah.
Taking the time for the, and I think that's nothing. That's absolutely right that should happen. But the main argument that I have put against my argument for 60 minutes ball in play is that it'll be like American football. The games will last 3 hours. Well, no, they won't, because we know how long the game lasts. The game lasts exactly the same now as it always did, with the exception of a few minutes each half. And that's the ball in play that we're getting. So historically, that's all we've ever seen, really. It used to be 65 minutes, 66 minutes, but never much more than that.
Yeah, but it's funny though. You just mentioned that, but the other thing, we've got to also mention, and this goes to what we've highlighted here as the longest, shortest game, if you like. And I'm going to put this next one up just so you can see it in the tab there. The longest, shortest game was Newcastle's 5-goal thriller against Liverpool on match day 2. Is the game with the lowest ball in play time this season, which is quite something when you consider it lasted 109 minutes and 24 seconds in total. The third longest of any Premier League match, 25-26. One likely reason is the number of fouls awarded in the game, which was 31, given by referee Simon Hooper on the night. The joint second most in a Premier League match this term. The total delay for taking free kicks in the game was an astonishing 27 minutes and 7 seconds, around 7.5 minutes longer than any other Premier League game this season. So is this something that we've got to also take into consideration? Is obviously dependent on who's in the middle, whether he's happy to keep stopping, starting. Now, I'm a massive adage towards a referee taking control of the game and dealing with the game as he sees fit. But there's certain referees I see, especially that come to seem to officiate the Newcastle games, just want to spoil the game.
Yeah, well, the standard of refereeing is widely reported. It seems to be going down the pan in this country. And, something needs to be done about that. But essentially, that's what VAR is there for.
Yeah.
But then you have the question of who's actually doing the VAR. Are they any better than the guy on the pitch? We're stuck with them. That's it. That's the bottom line. This tranche of referees that we've got running the show right now. You could pick the good ones on a single hand, and I think that's apart from the fact that FIFA, by and large, and UEFA want to get a lot more countries involved in the refereeing side of things. The number of FIFA designated referees that we have now is at the lowest proportion it's ever been.
Yeah. Do you think though, because like obviously there's a number of people now pointing the finger towards Newcastle, the Newcastle antics, if you like. Is it something that you think the FA could get involved with? The Premier League can get involved with and start pushing towards the timelines being changed a little bit?